Tomorrow was supposed to be my wedding day. Instead, it became the day I exposed my fiancé's lies to the entire world. He thought I was naive. He thought he could use me. He was wrong. This is the story of how I turned betrayal into my greatest triumph. This is the wedding that wasn't. Watch now to see how she did it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. The Grand Hotel's private lounge, a haven of hushed conversations and discreet deals, felt suffocating. Tomorrow, I, Sophia, would become Mrs. Harrison Montgomery III, a title that once shimmered with promise, now felt like a gilded cage. I stood outside the lounge, the velvet box containing Harrison's grandfather's cufflinks, a cold weight in my hand. Diana, Harrison's mother, a woman whose smile never quite reached her eyes, had, with an almost theatrical flourish, insisted I personally deliver them. A family heirloom, she'd declared, her voice laced with an almost imperceptible edge. A symbol of your union, a bond that transcends time. Little did she know, these cufflinks, intended to bind me to Harrison, would become a symbol of my liberation, a tool in my arsenal. As I approached the ornate, partially open door, a wave of unease washed over me, a premonition of betrayal. It wasn't just the usual pre-wedding jitters. It was a deeper, more visceral feeling, a sense of something fundamentally wrong, a dissonance between the image Harrison projected and the reality I was beginning to suspect. Then I heard Harrison's laughter, a sound that usually brought me comfort, now laced with a chilling arrogance, a self-satisfied smugness that sent shivers down my spine. It was followed by Blake's voice, Harrison's closest confidant since their privileged prep school days, a man whose loyalty I had never questioned, a man who was about to shatter my illusions. Their conversation, meant to be private, drifted through the crack in the door, each word a poisoned dart aimed at my heart, each sentence a thread unraveling the carefully woven tapestry of my life. "Come on, man, you can't be serious about settling down with Sophia," Blake scoffed, his voice dripping with disbelief, the kind of casual cruelty only old money could afford. "You could do so much better. She's nice, I guess, but let's be real, she's not exactly your type." Harrison's reply, slightly slurred, betraying the pre-wedding celebrations, was a calculated insult, a cold assessment delivered with chilling detachment. "Why not? She's perfect on paper. Her trust fund will help expand Montgomery Enterprises exponentially, securing our future for generations to come. And her connections, well, they're invaluable. Think of the door she'll open, the deals she'll facilitate. Besides," he added, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "she's completely devoted to me, blinded by adoration, really. It's almost pathetic." Their laughter, a sound I had shared with them countless times, now echoed with a cruel mockery, a symphony of betrayal. But it was Harrison's next sentence, delivered with a chilling casualness, that made my blood run cold, that solidified my resolve, that transformed my unease into a burning rage. "She's just temporary anyway, a means to an end, until someone better comes along, someone more suitable for the long term, someone who understands the game, someone who can play at my level." The velvet box slipped in my numb fingers, the cufflinks inside rattling like bones, a macabre percussion accompanying the unraveling of my world. 3 years. 3 years of my life, my hopes, my dreams, my unwavering love, reduced to a temporary arrangement, a strategic alliance, a stepping stone to his ambition. The memories once cherished, the romantic getaways to exotic locales, the whispered promises of forever under starry skies, the shared dreams of a future filled with love and laughter, now revealed themselves as carefully staged deceptions. Each one a calculated move in his game of control, each one a lie, the late-night business calls that stretched into the early hours, the sudden cancellations of romantic weekends with flimsy excuses that I had so readily accepted, the subtle ways he manipulated my opinions, my choices, my very being, molding me into the woman he wanted me to be. It all clicked into place, a mosaic of betrayal I had been too naive, too trusting to see. Yet, amidst the shock, the pain, the crushing weight of his duplicity, I didn't cry. The tears wouldn't come. Instead, a strange calm settled over me, a steely resolve, hardening my heart, forging it into an instrument of justice, a weapon I would wield with ruthless precision. I turned and walked silently back to my suite, my mind already formulating a plan, a strategy for revenge. I wouldn't confront him with tears and accusations, giving him the satisfaction of my pain, the validation of his power. I would dismantle his world, piece by calculated piece, exposing him for the manipulative, opportunistic, heartless man he truly was. I would use his own weapons against him, turning his arrogance into his downfall. As Harrison's business partner, a role I had embraced with enthusiasm, believing I was contributing to our shared future, I had access to everything: emails, financial records, client information, the intricate web of lies he had spun to trap me, to control me, to use me. It was a privilege he had granted me, never suspecting it would become his undoing, the key to his destruction. That night, while Harrison celebrated his impending nuptials with his cronies, oblivious to the storm brewing, the tempest gathering force, I meticulously sifted through his digital life, my fingers flying across the keyboard, my mind a whirlwind of anger and determination. Each click of the keys a step closer to justice. Each email, each financial transaction, each whispered conversation I uncovered was a piece of the puzzle, a damning indictment of his treachery, a testament to his deceit. Hours later, the cream-colored envelope now resting on the vanity held more than just cufflinks. It contained the evidence to expose his duplicity, to shatter his reputation, to bring his carefully constructed empire crashing down around him, burying him beneath the weight of his own lies. It was my wedding gift to him, the truth, raw and unfiltered. The morning of the wedding dawned with an unsettling tranquility, a deceptive calm before the storm I was about to unleash. The usual pre-wedding jitters, the flutter of nervous excitement, the anticipation of a lifetime of happiness, all were conspicuously absent, replaced by a chilling focus, a quiet determination that burned within me like a slow-burning fire. My hands were steady, my movements precise and deliberate as I applied my makeup, my reflection in the mirror, a stranger, a woman transformed by betrayal, a woman ready to take control of her destiny. The evidence against Harrison, the key to his downfall, lay hidden in the cream-colored envelope, a silent promise of retribution, a ticking time bomb about to detonate. Diana, Harrison's mother, a woman whose warmth had always felt genuine, whose affection I had mistaken for acceptance, burst into the bridal suite, her face radiant with maternal pride, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Sophia, darling, the flowers just arrived and they're absolutely perfect," she exclaimed, her voice brimming with excitement, her enthusiasm a painful reminder of the love and trust that was about to be shattered. She held up my bouquet, a breathtaking cascade of white peonies and blush roses, their delicate beauty a stark contrast to the storm raging within me, the tempest of emotions I had so carefully contained. Unaware of the truth, she admired the bouquet, a symbol of love and purity that would soon become an instrument of justice, a weapon in my arsenal of revenge. My bridesmaids, their faces glowing with happiness for me, their excitement infectious, flitted around me like colorful butterflies, their cheerful chatter a dissonant soundtrack to my thoughts, a painful reminder of the innocence that was about to be shattered. They adjusted my veil, smoothed my dress, their innocent excitement a painful reminder of the deception that lay at the heart of this charade, the carefully constructed illusion that was about to crumble. I caught Claire's reflection in the antique mirror, her youthful face beaming with genuine affection. Harrison's sister, a young woman with a kind heart and unwavering loyalty to her brother, stood behind me, her hands gently adjusting the delicate lace of my gown, her touch warm and sincere. "Oh, Prospect, now Claire, I can't believe my brother got so lucky," Claire whispered, her eyes filled with genuine affection, her voice laced with admiration. She squeezed my shoulders, her touch warm and sincere, a gesture of sisterly affection that now felt like a betrayal in itself. "You're going to take his breath away? If only you knew how right you are," I thought, a bitter smile playing on my lips, a smile that masked the pain and anger churning within me. I maintained my practiced smile, the mask of a happy, radiant bride, the image of poised perfection, while inside I was a woman preparing for war, a woman ready to unleash the truth, a woman ready to dismantle the carefully constructed world Harrison had built on a foundation of lies. The gilded cage he had built around me, the cage I had so willingly entered, was about to become his prison. The heavy church doors, ornate and imposing, swung open with a dramatic creak, and the wedding march, a melody that once filled me with joyful anticipation, began to play, its familiar notes now laced with the chilling irony, a soundtrack to my planned revenge. 200 guests, their faces a blur of well-wishers, curious onlookers, and those who were undoubtedly there for the spectacle, rose to their feet, their eyes fixed on me as I began my measured, deliberate walk down the aisle. At the end of the aisle, bathed in the soft glow of the altar candles, Harrison stood tall and handsome in his impeccably tailored tuxedo, his face beaming with practiced charm, his posture radiating an air of confidence and self-satisfaction. He was the picture of a man in love, the image of a devoted fiancé, a carefully crafted performance designed to deceive not only me, but everyone present. A carefully constructed illusion he believed he had perfected. He had no idea that his carefully constructed world, his carefully rehearsed role, was about to come to an abrupt and devastating end. That the woman he thought he controlled was about to become his judge and jury. Each step I took down the aisle was a journey through a landscape of fractured memories, a retrospective of our 3-year relationship now viewed through the harsh light of his betrayal. Moments I had once treasured, a romantic dinner overlooking the city lights, a shared laugh during a quiet evening at home, a whispered promise of forever under starry skies, now revealed themselves as carefully staged deceptions. Each one a calculated move in his game of control, each one a lie dressed in the guise of love. The soft whispers of "beautiful bride." From the assembled guests, the admiring glances, the murmured congratulations felt like cruel jokes, their sincerity mocking the hollowness of our connection, the emptiness of his promises. Harrison's smile widened as I approached, his confidence unwavering, his arrogance palpable, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. He was so sure of himself, so convinced of his own cleverness, so blinded by his own vanity, that he never suspected the trap I had laid, the carefully orchestrated plan that was about to unfold. 3 steps from the altar, my gaze met Blake's in the front row. His usual smirk, a constant fixture on his face, faltered slightly as he looked at me, a flicker of unease, of apprehension crossing his features. Perhaps he sensed something amiss in my expression, a hint of the storm about to break, a glimpse of the woman he didn't know I had become, a woman capable of turning his world upside down. Next to him sat Rebecca Matthews, her face a picture of composed elegance, her posture radiating an air of cool confidence. Her tasteful navy dress, undoubtedly an expensive designer creation, screamed of illicit affairs and hidden agendas, a testament to the money she had siphoned from Montgomery Enterprises, a symbol of her complicity in Harrison's deceit. 2 steps away, and I could see Diana dabbing her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief, her maternal heart overflowing with pride for her son, completely oblivious to his treachery, her joy a stark contrast to the cold resolve in my heart. Claire stood among my bridesmaids, practically bouncing with excitement, her youthful joy a painful reminder of the innocence that was about to be shattered, the trust that was about to be broken. The sight of them, so innocent and unsuspecting, so genuinely happy for me, made my heart clench with a mixture of sadness and anger, a wave of conflicting emotions threatening to overwhelm me. They were about to become collateral damage in Harrison's downfall, innocent victims of his greed and ambition, casualties in the war I was about to wage. One final step. "You look stunning," Harrison whispered, his voice a low murmur of practiced tenderness, his eyes filled with a feigned adoration that now felt like a mockery. He reached for my hand, his touch sending a shiver down my spine, not of love, but of revulsion, a visceral reaction to the man who'd betrayed me so deeply. I stepped back, just slightly, just enough to create a subtle distance, a symbolic break from the future we were supposed to share, a subtle sign that the woman he thought he knew, the woman he thought he controlled, was no more. It was a small gesture, almost imperceptible to the casual observer, but it was the first crack in the carefully constructed facade, the first hint that something was terribly wrong, the first tremor before the earthquake. The priest, blissfully unaware of the tension simmering in the air, the undercurrent of betrayal threatening to erupt, cleared his throat, ready to begin the sacred ceremony, to bind us in holy matrimony. But I wasn't there to be bound. I was there to expose. I was there to shatter. I was there to reclaim my life. I turned to face the assembled guests, their faces a sea of expectation, their smiles a testament to their misplaced trust. My gaze swept across their expectant faces, their well wishes. their misplaced faith in the man standing beside me, the man who had so callously deceived me, the man whose lies were about to unravel. The cream-colored envelope, now feeling like an extension of my hand, a weapon I was about to deploy with devastating precision, felt heavy against my thigh, a weight of truth about to be unleashed, a burden of betrayal about to be shared. I reached for it, my movements deliberate, my resolve unwavering. The sound of the delicate seal breaking, the crisp tear of the paper, echoed in the sudden hush that fell over the church. A silence that was thick with anticipation, a silence that foreshadowed the storm about to break. Before we begin this celebration of love and commitment, I said, my voice carrying clearly and steadily through the now silent sanctuary, my words cutting through the air like shards of ice, I'd like to share some readings, not from the Bible, as you might expect, but from Harrison's private emails to Rebecca Matthews, dated throughout our 3-year engagement. Emails that reveal the true nature of his intentions, the depth of his deceit, the extent of his betrayal. The color drained from Harrison's face, his confident smile, the mask he had worn so effortlessly, replaced by a mask of dawning fear, a flicker of panic in his eyes. Rebecca, sensing the imminent exposure of her complicity, her role in his web of lies, shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her carefully constructed composure beginning to crumble, her eyes darting around the room like a trapped animal, searching for an escape route. Confused murmurs rippled through the congregation, a wave of unease spreading through the crowd, a premonition of the storm about to break, a sense of something terribly wrong. "My dearest Rebecca," I read, my voice steady and unwavering, each word a deliberate blow aimed at his carefully constructed image, each sentence a testament to his treachery. Once the wedding secures the lucrative merger with Sterling Enterprises, a deal that will solidify our position in the market for decades to come, and Sophia's substantial trust fund is accessible, a considerable sum that will significantly boost our capital reserves, we can proceed with our original plan. She suspects absolutely nothing. She's so blinded by her adoration, so eager to please, it's almost pathetic. The murmurs intensified, growing louder with each damning word, each piece of evidence of his calculated betrayal, each revelation of his manipulative schemes. Harrison took a step towards me, his hand outstretched in a gesture of supplication, a desperate attempt to silence me, to stop the flow of truth. But I moved away, maintaining the distance between us, the distance between light and darkness, the distance between honesty and lies. I pulled out more papers from the overflowing envelope, the damning evidence of his financial treachery, his infidelity, his utter lack of moral compass, each document a nail in the coffin of his carefully constructed persona. But wait, there's more, I continued, my smile sharp as glass, a reflection of the pain he had inflicted on me, a mirror reflecting his own cruelty. Would anyone like to hear about the numerous offshore accounts Harrison has been diligently funding, accounts that are suspiciously overflowing with company funds, or perhaps the creative accounting practices employed at Montgomery Enterprises, practices that would undoubtedly pique the interest of the Securities and Exchange Commission, practices that are, to put it mildly, highly illegal? I have copies for everyone, including the SEC representatives, who, I believe, should be arriving right about now. As if on cue, the heavy church doors swung open once again, revealing not the florist with a last-minute arrangement, but 2 suited agents, their presence a stark confirmation of Harrison's crimes, a tangible symbol of the justice about to be served, a harbinger of his impending doom. Harrison lunged for the incriminating papers, his face contorted with a mixture of rage, desperation, and a dawning realization of the magnitude of his exposure. His carefully constructed mask of charm, the facade he had so meticulously cultivated, finally shattered, revealing the ugliness beneath, the true nature of the man he had become. He was a cornered animal lashing out in a futile attempt to protect his crumbling empire, his carefully constructed world of lies and deceit collapsing around him. But I had anticipated his move, his predictable reaction to the exposure of his treachery, his desperate attempt to silence the truth. I released my grip on the documents, letting them scatter, float down like toxic snowflakes. Each one a damning piece of evidence, each one a public humiliation, each one a testament to his betrayal. The photographers I had strategically placed among the guests disguised as friends and family, their cameras hidden beneath innocuous smiles, captured every agonizing moment, every flicker of fear, every sign of desperation on Harrison's face, immortalizing his downfall for the world to see, ensuring that his carefully crafted image would be irrevocably tarnished. "Sophia, please," Harrison hissed, his voice a desperate plea, the arrogance replaced by panic, the confidence by fear. He grabbed my arm, his grip tight, his fingers digging into my skin, a desperate attempt to regain control, to silence me, to stop the flow of truth. "We can talk about this. We can work this out. This is a misunderstanding. You're overreacting." I twisted free from his grasp, his touch now repulsive, the memory of his touch a violation, a reminder of the intimacy he had so callously betrayed. Facing him, I met his gaze with all the cold fury I had suppressed for so long, all the pain he had inflicted, all the betrayal I had endured, all the lies he had told. "Clock," I spat, my voice ringing through the now silent church, the echo of my anger reverberating through the hallowed halls, a sound that shattered the remaining vestiges of his composure. "Like how you talked about me at your bachelor party? Just temporary, wasn't I? A placeholder until someone better came along? Someone more suitable for your grand ambitions? Someone who understood the game?" His face, once so handsome, now contorted with guilt and shame, went from white to a sickly gray, the color draining from his features like water from a leaking vessel, leaving him looking pale and shaken. In the front row, Blake, his loyal accomplice, his partner in crime, shifted uncomfortably, avoiding everyone's eyes, his complicity now exposed, his role in Harrison's schemes laid bare. Rebecca, her carefully constructed composure finally cracking under the weight of her guilt, had sunk lower in her seat, desperately trying to disappear into the woodwork, but her efforts were futile. The net was closing in. "I trusted you, Harrison," I continued, my voice carrying through the now silent church. Each word a hammer blow against his carefully constructed lies, each sentence a testament to his deceit. "I loved you, or at least I loved the man you pretended to be, the man you crafted for my benefit, the man who existed only in my imagination. But you saw me as nothing more than a stepping stone, a means to an end, a pawn in your game of power and greed, a convenient asset to be used and discarded at your leisure." Deanna, her face a mask of confusion and growing horror, finally stood up, her hand clutching her chest as if she had been physically struck, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Her eyes, wide with disbelief, were fixed on her son, the son she thought she knew, the son who had betrayed her trust as well, the son who had shattered her illusions. "Harrison, what is she talking about?" she asked, her voice trembling, her world beginning to crumble around her. "Mother, I can explain," Harrison stammered, his voice weak, his carefully rehearsed excuses dying on his lips, his carefully constructed persona dissolving before everyone's eyes. "Explain the embezzlement?" I interrupted, my voice laced with scorn, the truth now a weapon in my hand, a sword cutting through his lies. "The affair? The planned merger with Sterling Enterprises that would have enriched you while bankrupting dozens of families, leaving countless lives in ruins? Please, Harrison, explain to everyone exactly who you are, the man you've hidden behind this carefully crafted facade, the man you truly are beneath the surface." The two SEC agents, their faces impassive, their presence a silent judgment, moved forward now, flanking the altar like sentinels, their presence a stark reminder that justice was about to be served, that the consequences of his actions were about to be faced. Rebecca, sensing the inevitable, the inescapable consequences of her involvement, had already slipped out a side door, attempting to escape the consequences of her actions, but her efforts were in vain. Another team was waiting outside, ensuring that no one involved in Harrison's web of deceit, no one complicit in his crimes, would escape the long arm of the law. "You've ruined everything," Harrison snarled, his charming facade finally and completely cracking, revealing the ugliness beneath, the true nature of the man he had become, the man I had finally seen for who he truly was. I smiled, a cold, triumphant smile that reflected the years of hurt and betrayal he had inflicted upon me, a smile that mirrored his cruelty. Reaching up, my hands trembling slightly, I removed the Montgomery family pearls, a lavish gift from Diana, a symbol of my acceptance into their privileged world, a symbol of the love and trust that had been so callously betrayed, a symbol of the life that was never meant to be. The pearls felt heavy in my hand, a weight of deception I was finally shedding, a burden I was finally releasing, a reminder of the woman I was no longer. "No, Harrison," I said softly, my voice cutting through his anger, my words laced with a quiet power, a power that came from knowing the truth, a power that came from reclaiming my life. "You did that all by yourself. I'm just making sure everyone, including your dear mother and your soon-to-be ex-wife, knows exactly who they're dealing with, the kind of man you really are, the depths of your depravity." The church, once a sanctuary of hope and promise, now echoed with the sounds of chaos, a symphony of broken hearts and shattered illusions. Diana, her face a mask of grief and disbelief, sank into a pew, her sobs muffled by her hands, her world crumbling before her eyes. Claire, her youthful excitement replaced by a profound sadness, a deep sense of betrayal, stood frozen, her eyes wide with shock, her trust in her brother irrevocably broken. The guests, their faces a mixture of fascination, horror, and morbid curiosity, whispered amongst themselves, their conversations a cacophony of judgment, speculation, and hushed recriminations. The air, thick with tension, recrimination, and the weight of broken vows, crackled with the electricity of shattered illusions, the palpable sense of a carefully constructed world imploding. The SEC agents, their presence a stark reminder of the legal ramifications of Harrison's actions, the inevitable consequences of his greed and ambition, moved with quiet efficiency, their focus unwavering. They approached Harrison, their expressions impassive, their demeanor professional, and placed him in handcuffs, the cold steel a symbol of his downfall, a tangible representation of the justice about to be served. As they led him away, his head bowed in shame, his carefully crafted arrogance replaced by a crushing weight of humiliation, he cast one last desperate look at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of hatred, regret, and a flicker of understanding, a glimpse of the man he could have been. I met his gaze, my expression unwavering, my heart devoid of pity, my eyes reflecting the strength I had found within myself, the resilience he had unknowingly forged. He had made his choices, and now he had to face the consequences, the price of his deceit, the cost of his ambition. His attempt to manipulate me, to use me as a stepping stone to his grand aspirations, to treat me as a mere asset in his game of power, had backfired spectacularly. I had turned his betrayal into my weapon, his lies into his undoing, his arrogance into his public humiliation. As Harrison was escorted out of the church, the weight of the situation, the full extent of his betrayal crashed down on Diana. She let out a heart-wrenching cry, a sound of pure anguish, the sound echoing through the now empty sanctuary, a lament for the son she had lost, the son who had betrayed her trust, the son who had shattered her world. Claire rushed to her mother's side, her own tears flowing freely, her face a picture of grief and confusion, her heart broken by her brother's actions. The image of the two women, their world shattered by the actions of one man, their lives irrevocably changed by his greed and ambition, was a stark reminder of the collateral damage of Harrison's deceit, the ripple effect of his betrayal. I turned away, my gaze fixed on the open church doors, the sunlight streaming through, beckoning me towards a new beginning, a future free from his lies, a life built on my own terms. The past, with its carefully constructed illusions, its whispered promises, its calculated betrayals, was behind me, a chapter closed, a lesson learned. The future, though uncertain, was mine to shape, mine to define, mine to conquer. The church steps, once a symbol of my impending union with Harrison, the beginning of our supposed happily ever after, now represented my liberation, my escape from the gilded cage he had built around me. The crowd of reporters, their faces eager for a scoop, their microphones thrust forward like weapons, their cameras flashing incessantly, no longer intimidated me. Their questions, their speculation, their judgment, their insatiable hunger for the details of the scandal were irrelevant. I had told my story, the truth was out, and now I was free, free from the lies, free from the manipulation, free from the man who had so callously betrayed me. As I walked down the steps, the click of my heels on the pavement, a steady rhythm against the cacophony of voices, the insistent barrage of questions, I felt a sense of lightness I hadn't experienced in years, a feeling of liberation that washed over me like a cleansing wave. The weight of Harrison's lies, the burden of his betrayal, the pain of his deception, had finally been lifted, leaving me feeling lighter, stronger, and more empowered than ever before. The sunlight, warm and inviting, bathed my face, a symbol of the hope that bloomed within me, a promise of a brighter future. The future, once a carefully planned path alongside Harrison, a future I had envisioned since I was a young girl, was now an open road, full of possibilities, a journey of self-discovery. I didn't know where it would lead, but I knew I would face it with strength, resilience, and an unwavering belief in myself, a belief that Harrison had tried to extinguish but had ultimately failed to destroy. The wedding that wasn't, the ceremony that never began, had become a catalyst for my transformation, a turning point in my life. It was the end of one chapter, a chapter filled with lies and deceit, and the beginning of another, a chapter filled with truth, justice, and the promise of a new beginning. It was the day I stopped being Sophia, Harrison's fiancée, the woman defined by her relationship with him, and became Sophia, the woman who had faced betrayal, sought justice, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever to live life on her own terms, to forge her own path, to create her own destiny. And as I walked away from the church, leaving the wreckage of Harrison's lies and my past behind me, I knew that the best revenge was not getting even, but getting better, that true victory lay not in his downfall, but in my own rise. My journey had just begun. Days following the aborted wedding were a whirlwind of media attention, legal proceedings, and personal reckoning. The story of the runaway bride who exposed her fiancé's treachery became a national sensation, splashed across every news outlet, dissected on every talk show. Some hailed me as a hero, a symbol of female empowerment, a woman who had dared to defy societal expectations and take control of her own narrative. Others criticized me for my public humiliation of Harrison, for airing our dirty laundry in such a dramatic fashion, but I paid them no mind. Their opinions were irrelevant. I had done what I had to do, and I would not apologize for seeking justice. The legal proceedings were complex and messy, a tangled web of financial irregularities, fraudulent transactions, and broken contracts. Harrison, stripped of his family's support and his own carefully cultivated image, fought tooth and nail to salvage what he could of his crumbling empire, but his efforts were in vain. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and the judge, unmoved by his pleas and excuses, delivered a swift and decisive verdict. He was stripped of his assets, his reputation irrevocably tarnished, his future uncertain. Rebecca, his accomplice in both business and infidelity, faced similar consequences. Her career in ruins, her social standing destroyed. Amidst the legal battles and the media frenzy, I found solace in the support of my true friends, those who had stood by me through thick and thin, those who had seen beyond the facade and recognized the woman beneath. They were my rock, my confidants, my chosen family. They helped me navigate the storm, offering their unwavering support and reminding me of my own strength. I also began the process of rebuilding my life, of picking up the pieces and forging a new path. I severed all ties with Harrison and his family, refusing to let their toxicity poison my future. I focused on my own well-being, both physical and emotional, seeking therapy to process the trauma of the betrayal and to heal the wounds that Harrison had inflicted. I rediscovered my passions, my interests, the things that made me happy, the things I had neglected during my relationship with Harrison. I reconnected with old friends, rekindled forgotten hobbies, and embraced new experiences. Slowly but surely, piecing my life back together, stronger and more resilient than before. Months turned into years, and the scandal of the wedding that wasn't faded from the headlines, becoming a distant memory for most, but a defining moment in my life. I had moved on, not forgetting what had happened, but refusing to let it define me. I had learned from the experience, grown from the pain, and emerged stronger and wiser. And I focused on my career, my passion for business reignited with a newfound purpose. I used my experience, both the good and the bad, to build a successful company, a company founded on integrity, transparency, and a commitment to ethical practices. I became a mentor to other women, sharing my story and inspiring them to pursue their dreams, to take control of their lives, to never let anyone dim their light. I also found love again, a love that was based on mutual respect, honesty, and genuine connection. It was a love that was earned, not a performance, a love that was real, not a carefully constructed illusion. It was a love that healed me, nurtured me, and empowered me to become the best version of myself. Years later, the story of the runaway bride became a legend, a tale whispered in hushed tones, a symbol of female empowerment, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. My name, once associated with scandal and heartbreak, became synonymous with resilience, courage, and the power of self-reinvention. I had not only survived Harrison's betrayal, I had thrived. I had turned the pain into power, the anger into ambition, the betrayal into a catalyst for growth. I had rebuilt my life from the ashes, stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled than I could have ever imagined. And as I look back on my journey, I realized that the wedding that wasn't was not a tragedy, but a turning point. It was the moment I stopped being a victim and became a survivor. It was the day I took control of my own narrative and wrote my own happily ever after. It was the day I discovered the true meaning of strength, the true power of resilience, and the true beauty of a life lived on one's own terms. And it all began with a single, cruel whisper, a whisper that sparked a fire within me, a fire that would illuminate my path to freedom, justice, and ultimately happiness.